Hello everyone, this is Donna with Vote Voiced, and this is the Vote Voiced podcast. And I want to thank you for joining me today. I want to remind you to like, and I want to remind you to share this podcast. Vote Voice is a nonprofit dedicated to voter education, voter registration, mobilization, and voter protection. Please, you can help Vote Voice to continue to engage voters, which is more important now than ever before. Please donate at secure.qgive.com/4/VVNF. That's secure.qgive.com/FOR/VVNF. Like Vote Voiced on Facebook and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and you can find Vote Voiced on the YouTube channel. I thank you once again for being here. We're going to get right into it. There are several issues that have come up, and I just want to remind everyone that today is the 4th of July. But unfortunately, we have lost freedoms. We have not gained any freedoms. And our freedoms are a mosaic. Our freedoms come from our past and our present. And our freedoms are not like a wallpaper. It is a mosaic. We have gained freedoms over time at different points in our history. So we need to make sure that we vote and vote as a lifestyle, because one vote isn't going to keep us free. We need to vote continuously. We need to make sure that we vote in every election, and we need to make sure that we make voting our lifestyle and make it a family tradition. Now, I know that there are people out there who say that voting doesn't matter, that the fix is in, that no matter what you do, it'll be the same thing over and over again. I know it may seem that way, but it really isn't true. You need to vote for the future that you want to have. And we need to make sure that when we vote, we're giving our votes to people who deserve our votes. We shouldn't just vote blindly. This is a nonpartisan organization, and what I'm saying isn't partisan. You need to know what's on your ballot. You need to check out the people who are running. You need to make sure that the decision you make, you've made it the way you want it to make it. You need to make sure that when you're voting for certain things on the ballot, like taxes or a levy, you need to make sure you understand what you're reading. Take your time and read it, and then you decide if you want to vote for that or not. So make sure that you have a plan to vote. And I know I say this all the time, and I know that I think it's a very good thing to keep saying it, because as I'm speaking to people on phone banks, people are coming to the point where they do understand that they need to have a plan to vote, and they've started to work that out, and that's wonderful. I'm going to keep saying, make sure you have a plan to vote. Do you know where your polling place is? Do you know what time the polls open and close? I want you to go to www.votevoiced.com and download a free voting plan checklist. You can pass this checklist on to anyone. It is free, and we have no problem with you doing that at Vote Voiced. So make sure you have a plan to vote, okay? Now, when it comes to our absentee ballots, okay, you know that your vote is the solution. You know that voting is voting for your future. I want you to make sure that you check your voter registration to make sure it's current and up to date. You know how you receive phone calls and so they're asking for Jane Doe, and you said, oh, I've said 1,000 times Jane Doe is not here. The reason why they keep calling you is because Jane Doe used to have that telephone number. You need to update your voter registration. Go to your Secretary of State. Here in the state of Michigan, it's michigan.gov, or call your clerk's office and ask them how to update your registration. They may be able to help you online. You can just go into the office at your at your clerk's office and update your voter registration. Update your telephone number, and that way you won't receive calls that belong to another person. If you're voting absentee, okay, which is also a way to vote early, you must make sure that you request your application. When you request your application, you must make sure you sign it and return that application, your ballot application, in as soon as you can. When you receive your ballot, make sure you sign it. Make sure you return it as soon as possible. If you have multiple ballots coming into your home, several people are voting absentee, make sure that the ballot is in the correct sleeve, in the correct envelope. Make sure you sign the outside of that envelope, okay? And once again, I want to say, make sure that you plan ahead to vote, okay? And once again, I want to say, go to www.votevoice.com and download your free voting plan checklist, okay? Now, I want to talk about this. This is why it's so important that we vote. Unfortunately, there is such a thing as voter suppression. And there are people that it's going to be harder for them to vote. My heart goes out to you. I thank you. In the state of Michigan, it is easier for us to vote. That means that we must honor ourselves by voting. We cannot take our votes for granted. Just this past, the report went out on the 28th of June that the Supreme Court has reinstated a racially gerrymandered congressional map in the state of Louisiana. They reinstated this 6-3. That's interesting. 6-3. Under these maps, black voters will only have, let me read this. I'm going to read this. This was written on Vox.com by Ian Milsher. I hope that I said that properly. Thank you, Ian, for this report. And he says, under these maps, black voters will control just one of Louisiana's 6 congressional seats, despite the fact that African Americans make up nearly a third of the state's population. Thus, the court's decision in Ardun versus Robinson means that black people will have half as much congressional representation as they would enjoy under maps where black voters have as much opportunity to elect their own preferred candidate as white people in Louisiana. Now, isn't that something? Because isn't the whole reason for Independence Day is that the people who rose up, who were probably 99.99% white, said we will have no country over us if we are not represented. No taxation without representation. And here we are in the state of Louisiana, where a group of people will not have proper representation. The Voting Rights Act does not permit racial gerrymandering. A preliminary injunction temporarily struck down the Louisiana maps and ordered the state legislature to draw new ones that include 2 black majority districts. That's something, isn't it? Here we are, 4th of July, and in the state of Louisiana, there will be voters that are going to be taxed and not have the proper representation. This is why we need to vote. We need to vote to make sure that we are all represented properly. We need to fight voter suppression. Okay? I know we say the same things over and over again, but look at what we're going through. We're losing freedoms. We're not gaining any. Not only are we losing every type of freedom you can possibly think of, but even losing the freedom to vote for our representatives based on how many people live in a state. Everybody else has their representation, but we're not having any. Okay, I'm going to talk about upcoming elections for federal office. Okay, and the following states have elections for federal office in the next 90 days. So let's talk about August. Now, I'm going to start at July. July 19th, there is a primary election in Maryland. July 26th, there is a runoff primary election in North Carolina. Why am I telling you this? So that we can be informed and understand when our elections are coming up. Because it is sometimes these elections, you might not hear about them. I have people on the phone who say, is there an election? So we just need to keep track. Sometimes there's an election in one place and there's not an election in another place. Okay, August. Primary elections August 2nd are going to take place in Arizona, Kansas, Michigan, Missouri, and Washington. Please make sure everyone in Arizona, Kansas, Michigan, Missouri, and Washington, August 2nd, you have a primary. I've already sent in my ballot. I have an absentee ballot, and I sent in my absentee ballot and already voted in the primary. August 4th, there's a primary election in Tennessee. August 6th, there is a territory primary in the Virgin Islands. August 9th, there's a primary elections in Connecticut, Minnesota, Vermont, and Wisconsin. August 9th, there is a special general in Minnesota, CD1. August 13th, there is a primary election in Hawaii. August 16th, there is a primary election in Alaska and Wyoming. August 16th, there is a special general in Alaska U.S. House. August 23rd, primary elections in Florida and New York. August 23rd, there are special elections in New York, CD19 and CD23. August 23rd, there's a state primary runoff election in Oklahoma. August 23rd, there is a runoff special primary in Oklahoma U.S. Senate. August 27th, there is a territory primary in Guam. It's important that we know these things. We have to expand our horizon when it comes to our voting. In September the 6th, there's a primary election in Massachusetts. September 13th, there is a primary election in Delaware, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island. In October, okay? Okay, there are no elections in October scheduled, okay? Okay, the Federal Voting Assistance Program. You can register and request your ballot by your state's deadline. You can use the FVAP's Easy Online Assistant at www.fvp.gov/FPCA to walk you through each section of the form. After you finish filling out your FPCA, you print it, you sign it, and you send it to your election office. Most states accept the FPCA by email or fax, while some require it by mail. You just need to check your state-specific guidelines at fvap.gov. Now, once you receive your requested absentee ballot, you vote and return it as soon as you get it. Remember to carefully follow the instructions, especially if a security envelope is required, and sign the package as indicated when returning. Now, you can save time. You can send your voted ballots electronically if it is allowed by state law. Now, voters can check if their state accepts completed absentee ballots by email, fax, or at the online portal at fvap.gov/guide. If a requested ballot has not arrived, use the federal write-in absentee ballot, which is the FWAB, immediately at www.fvap.gov/FWAB. Now, it works like a backup ballot. If your official absentee ballot arrives after sending in the FWAB, complete it and send in the official ballot too. Only one will be counted. Now, make sure the voted ballot is received by your state. You can go to fvap.gov, click on your state, and then check the status of your voted ballot button. To find your state's election website for specific information on candidates, elections, contact information, and links to your local election offices, you can visit the fvap.gov contact page. You can also reach out directly to your election office for status updates on your registration and absentee ballot. Now, additional information for non-UOC AVA voters, that's the uniformed service members, their families, and Department of Defense civilians who are currently stationed in the same location as their voting address, may visit vote.gov to register to vote and request information from their local election office to vote locally. Okay? I'm going to give you let's see right here. Listen, if you need more information about the Federal Voting Assistance Program, or if you need help with the absentee voting process, once again, you can go to fvap.gov, or you can call toll free 1-800-438-VOTE or DSN 425-1584. Or you can email vote@fvap.gov. I'm going to say that one more time for you. You can give them a call, toll free, 1-800-438-VOTE, VOTE, or DSN 425-1584, or you can email them at vote, VOTE, at fvap.gov. I want to thank everyone today for listening to me. I thank you so much for your support. I want you to go ahead and have a wonderful 4th of July. We have people here in Michigan, you can set off firecrackers, and believe me, everybody's having a good time setting off those firecrackers. Make sure that as you're celebrating the 4th of July, if you've chosen to do that this year, many people have said they're not going to do that because they are concerned about where democracy is going. Make sure you get out and vote, okay? Make sure you protect democracy by voting. This is Donna Miller with Vote Voiced, and you guys have a wonderful 4th of July, and God bless you all.